welcome to Pouse out of the house. We are heading to Bristol to get a service on our Husky 701s. Just crossing the Severn Bridge, or the Prince of Wales Bridge as it's now called, from Wales over to England. Just utilising the bus lane on the way into Bristol, straight past everyone. That's why everyone should have a motorbike. Clifton Suspension Bridge just up there. And the other thing is these emission charges they brought in now in Bristol, which my car unfortunately meets. So if ever I go off to the airport now, I have to head down the M5 and through Portbury to avoid it, which hasn't really helped, does it? Because I'm just taking my pollution elsewhere. As for the motorbike, again, straight through the emission zone, doesn't matter. The only one thing we really need in the UK is some better weather all year round, isn't it? And then a motorbike would be a really, really practical vehicle. Here we go, we've made it. We've come to Fowler's. I'm a bit excited about what bikes we're gonna be able to take out. Hopefully the KTM Adventure or a KTM SMT would be nice. We've just checked our bikes in. We've been given, for me, a Honda CBR 650R, and Big Pouse is on a Suzuki GSX-S1000, which is a lumpy old beast. So there we are, that's what we're riding. I was hoping for the Adventure R, but no such luck. And this feels completely different. And I have to say, already, I don't like riding this, not after being on mine. It's just so different. And it's kind of your slunch forward, and it's not uncomfortable, and I'll get used to it in a minute. But completely different riding style. You know, I like being sat upright. We gonna go that way? Let's see what this thing's like at doing 20. Actually, it's not bad, it's quite smooth. Yeah, it's just getting used to it. I used to have before I started the channel, a Honda CBR 600RR, and in fairness, this is a very similar sitting position. I would argue this is a little bit more comfortable, possibly a bit more upright. That bike was the RR, so it was a bit of it liked to be revved, you know. I just opened this up off camera just to see what it went like, and I'd forgotten really what these bikes feel like, because I got used to riding around on the Husqvarna. It's a single cylinder, it's got loads of torque, and to be honest with you, if you just rev this and just open the throttle, the Husqvarna's faster. But it's a completely different delivery of power. It's got so much torque, it just grunts you forward. Now this, I remember exactly what it's like from the 600 I had, and really you've got to get it up to speed and then you just stay on the revs, and then it'll probably go like shit off a shovel, I imagine, pardon my French. But I don't know, I haven't checked the stats on this. I had no idea what I was getting. Big Pouse had told me they had the KTM Adventure, which was one of the bikes they offer sometimes, and I gotta be fair, I thought that's what I was getting. I got a bit excited, and now I haven't. I'm a bit disappointed. Excuse me, I've got a fly in my eye. It's quite light and nimble. It is very much like the 600. It's bringing it back to me now. It said Bath that way, yeah, so just keep going. Second gear, it'll start to go, but you've got to rev it. So we started off heading to Bath on the main road, and I have to say, I couldn't live around a place like this, a big city centre. We even on the bikes, you couldn't get through. It's all 2 lanes into one, cars all bunched up, no room. So we turned around and we came another way, and this is actually a route that I took on a previous video when I came over to Fowler's and I did a test ride on the gas. I came down here, but even then it was congested, and this is moving a lot better than the other road. But flipping heck, it's like wherever you go. Hopefully we can get to Bath via a detour. I don't know why we want to go to Bath, man. It was just somewhere we selected, thought we could stop in, have a bite to eat, ride home, and to be honest, it's like a day out, isn't it? These bikes, they're to be ridden short and hard, aren't they? You know, a little bit like a Husqvarna, but with that, people say it's not comfortable, but you are sat upright and your weight's on your bum, and I find, you know, it's like steering a bike, it's just easier. Whereas this already, we just had to do a bit of a U-turn, and there wasn't enough room where I was, so I just had to pull up on the pavement, wheel it backwards quickly and back out, no problem. But the other bike, I would have turned on a hairpin. The other thing is my arms, you know, all your weight on this, is like if I lean there, my weight's dropping forward like that, you know, it's all on your arms. So you find, you know, it doesn't take long, like me now, and it's like kind of your elbows and your shoulders, you can just feel that weight. And I notice it's worse if you're driving hard, or riding hard I should say, and the roads are a lot faster, then I find it easier because you're moving your body around and, you know, it's a bit more fun. When you're doing these slow speeds and all your weight is there, it's just like a static load on your arms. And the one advantage of a bike like this compared to mine is the gearing. You know, you slow down on the other bike and you're constantly through the gears, or it's spluttering. Blah, 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 blah. There's 6th gear, 50 miles an hour. I can't do that on mine. On mine, you're constantly up and down, but it's a small price to pay for such a fun bike. I do love mine. Coming back on this just makes me think, well, I'm happy with mine. It's a different speed on these, completely different. It's smoother, a lot smoother. But I quite like that erratic riding style anyway, so yeah, riding other bikes makes me love that bike even more now. Funny thing is exactly at this point where I am now that I think I was harping on whilst test riding the Gas how much I love the DRZ and probably wouldn't be persuaded to get a new bike. And here I am now on a Honda CBR 650 saying how that Husqvarna that I have bought since is the best thing since sliced bread, and I love it. So there we go. So it's a CBR 650R, this one. I'll be honest, I don't know a lot about the Hondas these days. I'm not even sure if they do an F. It feels quite smooth. I would say if you're someone that's transitioning from kind of, let's say now you've passed your test, you're on a 500cc, maybe like a CB 500 or something like that, and you want to transition up more of a sporty sort of racing bike, I could throw this thing around no problem at all. It's very light. It reminds me exactly of my CBR 600RR, although I might be wrong about this, but it doesn't feel as quick. This feels easier, which is good. I mean, if it's, you know, you're someone that you've not been on a bike that long but you fancy something sporty, I don't think it's going to catch you out. You pull the throttle on there, you know, it's not going to kill you. It's not pulling wheelies, it's not going mad. Maneuverability, you know, I'll show you now. You can get the bike down, get your weight over the front. Very, very easy to throw around. It's not heavy at all. Fairing seems pretty good. I'm not getting too much wind over me. I'm about 5'8½", so size of this bike's probably perfect for me. I know Big Pouse has always struggled. He's very tall, so my knees tuck in nicely here. If you're a bit taller, you might have to sit a bit further back on the seat, and then it's whether or not that affects your riding or not. Oh, there we go. I'm used to the supermoto there. Now, do you see the difference there with the supermoto? I cut that bend too tight. On this, you've got to sweep a bit wider, but you can kind of adjust at the last minute on that, so it is a completely different riding style. I can see how this is quite light, see? So we're almost in Bath now, and I have to say it has been a sluggish journey. I want something to eat. I'm starving. I haven't had any breakfast. And what's the time now? That says 10 o'clock. Is that right? It probably is right. We've made it to Bath. We're sort of just on the edge of the city here. Yeah. Now I noticed this said clean air zone. Now I don't know how big the clean air zone is around Bath, but I'm wondering if this particular section is, and that's why it's gone awfully quiet and everyone's avoided it. That looks to me like a nice new block of buildings, and they've done it in the old-fashioned style with that big curve. Different. I don't mind, drive around if you want. Have a look, innit? Touring around Bath here. Sorry, just trying to watch the traffic as well, because it's manic round here. Honestly, it's stop start, stop start. Well, I mean, what's this guy doing? You coming in or are you staying over? It's frustrating because the only reason we're here is because the bikes are obviously having a service, but I like nothing more than to be on my bike in this city centre. This thing's a ball ache. I'm amazed how many people are out just dossing around. I know it's a touristy city, but you think, well, what do these people do for a living? They're probably thinking the same about me. I'll have to get fuel in a bit. Okay. We were meant to fill our tanks up with fuel to the top, but mine was on half, and Big Pouse had about 60 miles left on his tank, so not great. It's at the top, you know, you can fill it back up and you know you've only paid what you use, but I don't want to be giving them money. And I got an ambulance behind me, so let's get into the petrol station, sharpish.
I'm just going to stick the tenner in.
Oh, 10 quid? Do you think it'd be that much?
Well, I don't know, maybe not, maybe I'll put 6 or 7 in.
I just went the wrong way, did I? Yeah, turning circle on this ain't as great as the Husky, that's for sure. There we go, we're round. Ah, there we go. Shameful. I don't even know what that's called. I can't remember. God, I tell you what, it's getting hot now. I have got a pair of shorts and flip-flops in my bag just in case. We made it down to the thick of it. So we just had a lovely little cooked breakfast in a nice little, I don't know what you call it, it's like a cafe. Sold nice cakes and stuff, not the cheapest, obviously we're in Bath, it's right next to the river. 11 quid for a full English, and it was about 5 quid for a cup of tea. Basically, 2 cooked breakfast, a pot of tea, and a flat white, 30 quid on the head. But there we are, it was nice, and it's a one-off in it. So now we're going to find our way out of Bath. We're going to try and head down towards Shepton Mallet, probably stop, reconvene, work out the best way to come back then. Oh, we've just been going so slow everywhere and it's painful. It's really painful because I just want to feel the breeze on me and I want to just go round the bend and with the throttle on. There, we're in another 40. They've ruined everything on these roads. Back into a 50. That was the first tidy overtake we'd done. Be just my luck, I'll hop round this bend and get caught by a speed camera. It's such a gradual progression. It's not like the Husky. That thing is just like lumping and off you go. The brakes I don't think are as good as a Husky either. I just chuck that front brake on then and that didn't want to stop me as quick. But I do like his 650, it's nice and light. And there's something to be said for that. These big heavy bikes, they're alright when you're cruising along, but I always think I like something in between, you know. You want a bit of power, but you want a bit of something you could chuck around the bend, something you can mount the curb with nice and easy. And one thing I'd probably say, having just opened this up a bit then, that is it GS or GSX in front, I know it's 1000, but that did that effortlessly. Put the throttle full back then on this, and he seemed to, I don't know if it's the more upright position, seemed to casually take off away from me. But having not checked the specs on this, which I will when I go back, and maybe we'll do another video on that, I assume this is quite a quick bike. But I've got to be fair, and you probably heard me say this before with new bikes, I'm a little bit underwhelmed with it if I'm honest. Radstock. I don't think I've ever been here before. Maybe I've passed through, going to the places over the years. Back in the days when I played in a band, I used to be knocking around these parts, be racing home from work, driving a car off somewhere random at Midsummer Norton, Frome, just to do a random gig in the evening. We finally got to the place we want to be to head to Shepton Mallet, and it starts raining. Bloody marvellous. Can you hear that? I'm in my air jacket. Oh. Just great, isn't it? Right, it's been dry now all day. Gonna have super greasy roads now. I do not like this road here. It feels awful. You see all the bumps where the surface has gone?
This jacket is waterproof, right?
What you do notice on these, which I forget, is the fairing. Your legs stay a little bit drier on this. Now the rain has stopped, but it's typical. We've just come through probably some of the nicest roads that we've actually been on. I know this is a 40, but we just went through a national speed limit, and the road is now sopping wet and greasy, so it's not ideal. You can see the water, the spray coming off Big Pouse's bike there. So this is Shepton Mallet, sort of driving in and back out again very quickly. Now it looks as though we hit a localised bit of weather earlier, because we've just literally driven onto a bit of road which was either so hot that it's dried out already, or I suspect it hasn't seen any rain. There was a line almost across the road then, so that's good news. It's just a shame that all the speed limits around here are sort of 30s and 20s. You can barely sort of open the bike up at all. Rendering a bike such as this one pretty pointless on the road, really. A national speed limit, a biggish road, it's dry and no one in front of us. I think this is the fastest I've been all day. And there we go, straight back into a 40. So you've got a Morrison's just behind us there, Travelodge. Ah, I thought as much. And a Lidl. It's either Lidl or Aldi, isn't it? You've got to find one somewhere. We just did a quick stop, decide which way we're going to go back. And there they are. That's a chunky old bike, that Suzuki. So we are definitely going back this way. Hang a lefty. Woogie Hole Caves. We're passing there, look. More new houses wherever you go. Gonna have no land left. Actually got some bends. Wow. Now this is more like it, although we're not going fast. Some little windies with no one in front of us. Westbury Sub Mendip. Nice and dry on the road. Feels much better. Much happier with this. Sun's gone in. Very mild, can't fault it. So how quick the weather can change. It's probably been about 5 or 10 minutes since I last had the camera on. It was a quick downpour, it's eased off. These roads have obviously seen a bit of rain for the last, I don't know, 20 minutes or more. And it is sopping on the floor now. So 1 minute we think we're into lovely weather and we're going to have a good ride back, and suddenly we're into cars in front, flooded roads, and I'm getting soaking wet again in my air jacket. So I have got waterproofs in my bag, but you know what, it's so warm I'd rather just get wet and dry back off again later, to be honest. Now keep me nice and cool anyway. I've got to be honest, I've hit that point now, my shoulders are aching and I just want to get back. I'm done with these kind of bikes. I think I've decided I never have one again. It's not really much point unless you're on a track. It's nice to actually be moving again. One thing I wanted to point out with these bikes, not having a fairing for so long, how well designed these new ones are. In all this rain, my chest has not got wet once. And I'm in an air jacket, which is bizarre because on my bike I get absolutely soaking and hit by everything, but in a weird way I wouldn't mind a bit of resistance on my shoulders to take the weight off my hands a bit, leaning down on the handlebars. So there we go. I've always find something to moan about, don't I? So we just stopped, we had a flat battery and sod's law, just so they had a bit to open the bike up, it looks like the battery had run out, so I probably haven't caught that on camera. And I've just put a GoPro on Big Pouse's bike as well, so he's actually filming me behind. So as I speak now, you may well be watching my rear end facing the camera. Shame we got a few cars in front, really, isn't it? Wanna go? Here we go again, we got someone doing 40 miles an hour in a 60. It's actually quite nice being able to open this up a bit. Earlier on it was getting on my nerves a bit, just, you know, you're going a bit slow, a bit sluggish, hurting my shoulders. But to be fair to this bike, it's very agile. When you want to throw it around the bends, it's great, and it does feel nice, but I'm just tired now. It's been too slow a ride and just aching. Right. That's in first, is it? Oh, it feels completely different, doesn't it? Oh, God. God, that's more... No, that's more responsive, isn't it? Shit. There we go. Alright then. Christ. Right, so we have just swapped bikes. Big Pouse is on the 650. I'm on the 1000, and already it feels completely different. You don't have to have much throttle on this to get going, whereas the other one you've got to rev it a lot more. To what I was saying, I think in some respects that 650 is not bad. Oh, I'm just gonna have to go in a minute. Yeah, a lot more torque on it. It's a much faster bike, there's no doubt about that. Completely different than his temperament already, I can see. But Big Pouse said the brake's awful. And I see what he means, I can feel that already. Something else to note, the vibrations on this. My other camera has already disappeared forward, look. Vibrating away. Go on. GSX-S1000, and this is like a naked bike. Again, sorry, don't know much about this thing. It was just the bikes we were given this morning, but this is completely different again. Really wide seat, I would say quite comfortable, really padded. Your knees, because the tank's so big, your legs are forced out a lot wider than that bike in front. I mean, that 650, to be honest with you, isn't far off the size of like an old 250. I remember my brother having an RGV 250, old 2-stroke. That thing was amazing, like shit off a shovel. But it's not a great deal of difference in size, I don't think, between that back from like the 90s and that 650, which is a, you know, much bigger engine but very similar size physically overall. But this, yeah, much wider. This reminds me more of the days of when I had my Fireblade, but you've got the higher handlebars, more comfortable seating position, and just generally I think for commuting and stuff this one would be a lot better. The only thing is with this one, it feels a bit more sloppy. The gears aren't as positive, bit more spongy, you know, with a bit more spring. The throttle is very, not snappy, but you need a tiny bit of throttle. You've got to work the clutch a lot more. So if you just let go of the clutch and throttle, you either stall it or you're going to fly off the back. Oh yeah, this is a lot quicker than that bike in front, but a lot more snappy as well. So after coming off that and getting on this, you've got to be a bit careful. And also completely different, I've got all the wind on me again because it's the naked bike. Obviously that one with the fairing, you do notice it takes all the pressure off you, which is really funny because I haven't had a fairing for so many years, you kind of forget the function it performs, which is a stupid thing to say really. And you can see how small that bike is. Big Pouse is about 6'2.5", 6'3", and you can see it looks too small for him, doesn't it? His knees are couched up, his giant gangly feet are hanging off those pegs, and it just doesn't look big enough for him. That was bumpy. So leave your comments below. Is Big Pouse too big for the 650? So I've just been testing out this front brake on this Suzuki. I've got to be fair, I don't know if it's just the one on this particular bike, but it's a bit spongy, like a bit sloppy. It's just weak. It's weak and underpowered. Like, and yet the bike, the engine's quite powerful, but the bike is quite heavy. I'd say it's quite chunky. What? It's nothing in it, is it? Yeah. Yeah. As we were saying then, the two bikes, like you just said the same. That bike is quite slow really. You know, you've got to really give it some beans like to get it going. It's very light, very nimble, but this bike is very heavy. I would say the brakes are not great, and it's probably only really any good for going fast in a straight line. Like these sort of semi-raised handlebars, like the Street Fighter kind of style or naked style, they're obviously a bit more comfortable than being down low, but I still feel that they feel just in the wrong position somehow. I don't know, maybe I'm just sort of used to the Husky now, but they still don't feel perfect, you know. I don't know, it's just not for me. This thing is, you've got to ride the clutch in first. I did, I almost did then, and I ended up revving the crap out of it. Really, you could do it taking off in second.
Yeah, I have been.
You know, it's almost like there's either something wrong with that bike, or it's just shit. I just don't like it. Yeah, it's just so much power in it, and in a straight line is so fast. I reckon to get you into trouble, because then you get in the bend, and it's like a wallowing bus. Yeah. It's like, hey, you think, oh, this would be nice, and it's almost like the handlebars are in the wrong position, the brake is slow, and yet you no, and yet you bloody throttle it and the damn thing feels like the Fireblade. Yeah. And then suddenly you go, I can't stop. It's just an overpowered beast. And we're back, and hopefully our bikes have been serviced. We can have a quick look around the shops. Well, they've moved, so maybe they have been serviced. I hope so. No, there's only one, so maybe the other one's still in then. So we finally get away at about 5:30, so it's taken a while, but the issue has been Big Pouse's bike with this intermittent fault. It's got to stay here. It turns out it was the ABS switch, which is the one you can turn your ABS on and off independently. I'll show you now. Basically that one down there had an issue with it. I mentioned before, Big Pouse's Husqvarna is actually a 21 model. It was built a year earlier than mine, and apparently that was the one they had a few issues on. He said he's changed a few of these switches, so we need to change the ABS switch. In doing the service, stripped a thread on the clutch case. He managed to sort of do a temporary fix on that. In the meantime said it would be safe to take home until they ordered a new clutch case, and that was it, all fixed. But it turned out in the end that this electrical problem came back. Anyway, he knows what the issue is. He's ordering some new parts. Hopefully Big Pouse's bike will all be back up to date. In the meantime, we've now got another bike, which is the Tracer 7 Yamaha. Get going, man! Alright, is it? Nice bike? Yeah, I know. Nice bit of weather to finish the day. Good news, the bike's being fixed. I've got mine back, so I think that's a great place to end this video. If you have enjoyed this video, then please give it a like. If you haven't done so already, then please subscribe to my channel and press that bell icon for regular notifications. I've been Pouse out of the house. Ta-ta, farewell.